23rd of July, 1901. Jesus speaks about his will and about charity. As I was with many doubts about my state, on coming, my adorable Jesus told me, "Daughter, do not fear. What I recommend to you is that you remain always conformed to my will, because when the divine will is in the soul, neither the diabolical nor the human will have the strength to enter the soul to make fun of her." After this, I seemed to see him crucified. And since the Lord had shared with me not only his pains, but some sufferings of another person, he added, "This is true charity, to destroy oneself in order to give life to others, to take upon oneself the evil of others, and to give me one's own goods." End of the reading.
The 23rd of July, 1912, Volume 11. Once Jesus has made a perfect conquest of the heart of the creature, he exercises his own right in full freedom, making her rise again or operate, but it's always love. Finding myself with my always adorable Jesus, I was lamenting to him because, in addition to his privations, I also felt my poor heart insensitive, cold, and indifferent to everything, as if it no longer had a life. How pitiful my state is, and even so I am unable to cry over my misfortune, since I don't know how to feel sorry for myself. You, please, have compassion for this heart, which you loved so much, and which you promised to so much to receive. And Jesus, my daughter, do not trouble yourself for something that does not deserve any affliction. Instead of feeling compassion for your lamentations and for your heart, I am pleased to tell you, rejoice with me, because I have made a perfect purchase of your heart. Since you no longer feel anything of your own contentment and of the life of your heart, I alone come and enjoy your contentment and your life. You must know that when you do not feel anything from your heart, I pull your heart into my heart, and I keep it there, resting in sweet sleep while I enjoy it. If you feel it, then the enjoyment is together. If you let me do, after I have given you rest in my heart and enjoyed in you, I will come to rest within you, and I will make you enjoy the contentments of my heart. Ah, my daughter, this was necessary for you, for me, and for the whole world. For you, if you had been awake, you would have suffered very much in seeing the chastisements that I am sending now and the others that I will send. Therefore, it is necessary to make you content, not to make you suffer greatly. It is necessary for me. How much I would have suffered had I not made you content, had I not conceded what you would have wanted, since you would not permit me to send chastisements. This is why it was necessary to put you to sleep. In certain sad times of necessity and chastisements, it is necessary to choose ways in the middle in order to be less unhappy. It is necessary for the world. If I wanted to pour myself out with you and make you suffer as I once made you suffer, therefore making you content by saving the world from the chastisements, faith, religion, and salvation would be even more banned by the world, especially considering the attitude of the souls during these times. Ah, my daughter, let me do, whether I have to keep you awake or asleep. Didn't you tell me to make of you whatever I wanted? Do you perhaps want to withdraw your word? And I, but, oh Jesus, it is rather that I fear that I've become bad. Because of this, I feel in such a state. And Jesus, listen, my daughter, is it perhaps that some thought, affection, or desire, which is not mine, entered into you? If this were the case, you should fear me. But if this is not, it's a sign that I keep your heart within me, that I make it sleep. The time will come when I will wake it up. Then you will see that you will take the attitude of before, And since you have rested, this attitude will be greater. Then he added, I make souls of all kinds. I do the ones sleepy with love, the ignorant of love, the crazy of love, the erudite of love. But do you know what interests me the most? That all be love. I don't so much look at the rest, which is not love. End of the reading.
23rd of July 1923, volume 16. The divine will is in continuous act of giving itself to the creature and wants her continuous encounter in order to give her the life of heaven in advance. I was abandoning all of myself in the holy divine will, according to my usual way, and my sweet Jesus made himself seen, coming toward me in order to receive me in his most holy will. And he told me, my daughter, my will is in continuous encounter with the will of the creature. And as the human will encounters mine, it receives the light, the sanctity, the strength which my will contains. My will is in continuous act of giving itself to the creature in order to give her the life of heaven in advance. If she receives me, she remains with this celestial life. But if in every act she does not receive this supreme volition, which is all intent for her good on making her happy, strong, holy, divine, and as though transformed into a dawn of celestial light, she remains with her human will alone, which renders her weak, miserable, muddy, and surrounds her with passions so vile as to move to pity. Don't you see how many souls drag themselves because of their weakness in being unable to conquer themselves to do good? Others, which are unable to dominate themselves, others inconstant like reeds in the wind, others unable to pray without 1,000 distractions, others always discontent, and others who seem to be born to do evil. These are all souls who do not encounter my will in all their things. Yet my will is for all. But since they run away from it, they do not receive the good which my will contains. This is a just pain for those who want to live involving themselves in all miseries. However, this will of mine, which they did not want to encounter during their life, to receive as many goods for as many times as they would meet it, they will encounter it at their death, receiving as many pains for as many times as they escaped it, because by escaping it, they have become guilty, stained, and covered with mud. So it is right that they receive a pain, and as many painful encounters form for them for as many times as they did not encounter my will upon earth. But these painful encounters, which will be without merits, without new gains, as it would have happened had they encountered it during their life, oh, how many moans of sorrows come from the prisons of purgatory. How many shouts of desperation can be heard from hell, because my will was not encountered upon earth. Therefore, my daughter, may your first act be to encounter my will. May your first thought and heartbeat be to encounter the eternal heartbeat of my will, that you may receive all my love. Try to make continuous encounters in everything, that you may be transformed in my will and I in yours, in order to dispose you to make the last encounter with my will at your last hour. In this way, you will have no painful encounters after your death. End of the reading.
The 23rd of July, 1926, volume 19. Fears of being left by Jesus. One who lives in the divine will loses every way out. Neither can Jesus leave her, nor can she leave Jesus. The creation is mirror, the divine will is life. After much waiting and longing for the coming of my sweet Jesus, I was thinking to myself, how shall I go on if the one who forms my life leaves me alone and abandoned? How can I possibly live? And if I do live, because now I understand how it is not the pains that make one die. If it were so, after so many of his privations, I would be dead. At the most, they make one feel death, but they are unable to give it. They make one live as though under a press, squeezed, crushed, but the supreme will alone has the power of death. But while I was thinking of this, my adorable Jesus moved in my interior and made himself seen with a little gold chain in his hands, delighting in making it pass between me and himself in such a way that we remained bound together. And with goodness and love all paternal, he told me, my daughter, why do you fear that I may leave you? Listen, I cannot tolerate this fear in you. You must know that the condition in which I have placed you, the sea of my will that flows inside and outside of you, to which voluntarily, not by force, you gave yourself, has expanded its boundaries so much that neither I nor you will find the way out. So if you want to leave me, you will not find the way. And as much as you may go around, you will always go around within the endless bounds of my will. More so, since your acts done in it have closed every way out for you. And if I wanted to leave you, I could not, because I would not know where to go to place myself outside of the boundaries of my will. My will is everywhere, and wherever I might go, I would always find myself together with you. At the most, I act like someone who possesses a large house. And since he loves someone else who is inferior to him, in mutual agreement, one takes the house and the other goes. Now, since the house is large, he ranges about and moves around within his house. The other person loses sight of him and laments, but wrongly. If the house belongs to him, how can he leave her? One does not leave his own things, so either he will come home soon, or maybe he is already there in some apartment of his own home. Therefore, since I have given you my will as your house, how can I leave you and separate from it? As powerful as I am, in this I am impotent, because I am inseparable from my will. At the most, I range within my boundaries, and you lose sight of me. But it is not that I leave you. And if you went around within our boundaries, immediately you would find me. So instead of fearing, wait for me. And when you least expect it, you will find me all clasped to you. After this, I was doing my usual acts in the supreme volition, and the whole order that one must have in the divine will, what one must do and where one can reach, in sum, everything that Jesus himself has taught me, became present before my mind. So I thought to myself, how will creatures be able to do all this? If it seems to me that I, who draw from the source, don't do everything, leave many things behind, and do not reach that height that Jesus tells me, what must it be for those who will draw from my tiny little fount? And Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, my daughter, of the many things that I created in creation, you do not use nor enjoy all of them, and many others you do not know. But if they don't serve you, they serve others. If you are not the one who enjoys them and knows them, others do enjoy them and know them. And if creatures don't take everything, all things still serve my great glory, and to make known my power, my majesty, my great love. And the multiplicity of many created things makes known the wisdom, the value of the divine maker, who is so skillful that there is nothing he cannot do. Now, if in the creation of the world he released so many things which were to serve man's nature and which were to be like a mirror in which by reflecting himself in it, man was to recognize his creator, and all created things were to be paths through which he could return to the paternal womb from which he came, Much more necessary is it to make known more things about the kingdom of my will, which is to serve as life of the soul, and as the centre in which God must have his throne. Now the multiplicity of the things I have made known to you serves to show what this divine will is, how there is nothing more important, more holy, more immense, more powerful, more beneficial, and which has the virtue of giving more life than it does. All other things, as good and holy as they may be, are always in the secondary order. It alone has always the first place, and wherever it is not present, there cannot be love. So the many knowledges about my will serve my will itself as glory and triumph, and will serve the creatures as path to find life and to receive it. The height and the immensity of my will serve creatures so as to never let them stop, but always move forward in order to reach it as much as they can. And the multiplicity of these knowledges will serve the freedom of each one to take what they want. In fact, each knowledge contains life. If the veil of each knowledge is broken, they will find in it, as queen, the life of my will. The more they take and do, the more the life of my will grow in them. Therefore be attentive in manifesting the qualities, the infinite riches it possesses, so that the heaven of my will may be more beautiful, more charming, more majestic, as indeed it is, than the heaven of creation, so that enraptured by its beauty, by the goods it contains, all may yearn to come to live in the kingdom of my will. End of the reading.
27th of July 1928, volume 24. The soul who lives in the fiat is the luminous point in the world, how everything was created for the soul. Continuing in my usual abandonment in the supreme fiat, I wish to embrace everyone and everything so that everything might become divine will. And my sweet Jesus, coming out from within my interior, told me, "My daughter, the soul in whom my will is present is the luminous point in the world. Just as a sun can be seen under the vault of the heavens that invests the earth with its rays and penetrating everywhere with its life of light, embellishes, colours, fecundates the whole earth, so can another sun, more beautiful, more effulgent, be seen in that point of the world, that is, in the soul in whom my divine will reigns, and its rays extend and expand so much as to embrace everything and everyone. How beautiful it is to see from heaven these luminous points in the depth of the earth. It no longer seems earth, but heaven, because there is the sun of my fiat. Its rays embellish, fecundate, and scatter such variety of divine colours as to communicate the varieties of beauties of the Creator with its life of light. Wherever these luminous points are present, the current of evil is stopped. My justice feels disarmed by the strength of this light and changes the scourges into grace. These points are the smile of the earth. Their light is herald and bearer of peace, of beauty, of sanctity, of life that never dies. They can be called the fortunate points of the earth, because in their midst there is the light that never dims, the life that always rises. While where these luminous points are not present, the earth is obscure, and if any good is done, it is like those little lights that have no rays, because the source of the light is missing in that good, and therefore it has no strength nor virtue to extend and to expand. And since the source is missing, they are subject to becoming extinguished, and the earth remains obscured, as though buried in thick darkness, because the human will is herald and bearer of evils, of disturbances, of disorder, and the like. So the soul in whom my will does not reign puffs out darkness, shadow, and restlessness. And if she does any good, it is a good invested with fog. Her air is always unhealthy, her fruits unripe, her beauty discoloured. All the opposite for the soul in whom my will reigns. She is the true queen that dominates everything. She gives peace to all, does good to all, and is well liked by all. And while she does good to all, she has need of no one, because the source of my will that she possesses makes all goods arise within her. Then I was continuing my round in the divine volition to bring all created things to my Creator, heavens, sun, and everything, as profound adoration to my God, and to be able to say to him, heavens, stars, sun, sea, you gave me, and I give you everything back as the requital of my love. But while I was thinking of this, my sweet Jesus told me, my daughter, yes, I created everything for you, and I gave you everything. For each thing I created, first I thought of giving it to you as gift, and then I put it out. I gave you so many of these gifts that you have no place to keep them. And my love, in order not to keep you hampered, gave you the space in which to keep them, in such a way that while you enjoy now one thing, now another as you please, you are not cluttered up, because each thing has its place to remain at your disposal. Now, if you knew our contentment when we see our little daughter take her flight in our will to bring to us heavens, stars, sun, and everything else, to requite us with the very gifts that we gave to her, we feel our own glory, our love, the repetition of our works, and knowing that if she had the power to make them, she would make them for us, in order to always excel in our love towards one who lives in our fiat, we give her the merit as if the creature had made the heavens for love of us, the sun, the sea, the wind, in sum, everything. We requite her as if she were maintaining the whole creation to give us glory and to tell us that she loves us. My will loves so much one who lives in it, that there is nothing it has done or can do in which it cannot say to the soul, let us do it together, so as to be able to say, what I have done for love of her, she has done for love of me. End of the reading. 24th of July, 1909, Volume 9. Everything the soul does out of love for God enters into him and is transformed into his own works. I was thinking of the misery of my present state, and I said to myself, how everything is over for me, how good Jesus has forgotten about everything. He no longer remembers my hardships, the sufferings I have gone through for love of him during many years of bed. And so my mind kept going back to some specialties of suffering and the gravest ones which I have gone through. At that moment, blessed Jesus told me, my daughter, everything that is done for love of me enters into me and is transformed into my own works. And since my works are for the good of all, that is, for the pilgrim, the purging, and the triumphant souls, everything you have done and suffered for me is present in me and does its office for the good of all, just as my works. Would you rather take them back into yourself? I answered, may it never be, O Lord. But in spite of this, I continued to think about it, being a little distracted from my usual interior work. And good Jesus repeated, you don't want to stop it? I'm going to make you stop it. And he placed himself in my interior, praying in a loud voice and saying all that I was supposed to say. On seeing this, I remained confused and I followed good Jesus. And when he saw that I was no longer paying attention to anything else, then he kept silent and I remained alone, doing what I am used to doing. End of the reading.
The 23rd of July, 1931, Volume 29, Fecundity of Light, the Creation, Feast of God and of the Creature, the Divine Will, Regime and Rule. I am back in the arms of the Divine Fiat. It seems to me that its immense light flows like sea around me, and as I do my acts of love, of adoration, of thanksgiving, I take from within this light the love that the Divine Will possesses. However, I take of it as much as I can take, because as creature, it is not given to me to take it all, so immense it is, and I have neither the capacity nor the space in which to enclose this interminable love. But still I fill myself completely, in such a way that, though I am creature, my love toward the one who created me is full and whole, and so is my adoration. In fact, the acts done in the Divine Will must possess such fullness that the creature must be able to say, my being has melted completely into love, into adoration. I have nothing left. And the Creator must be able to say, all the love that she could give me, she gave to me. She has kept nothing for herself. But as I was doing my little acts in this sea, little waves were forming that, unloading themselves into my intelligence, changed into light of knowledge on the Divine Will. And my always lovable Jesus told me, my daughter, one who lives in my Divine Will is always dealing with light, never with darkness. And since light is fecund, it gives birth in the soul to the truths it possesses. The virtue of light is marvelous and miraculous. And while by looking at it, one sees nothing but light, inside it possesses the fullness of goods. But it communicates these goods not to one who only looks at it, but to one who lets himself be touched, moulded, clasped, kissed with its ardent kisses. As it touches, it purifies. As it moulds, it transforms. As it clasps, so it encloses its light in the soul. And with its fecundity that can never remain idle, its work is incessant. It communicates the beautiful rainbow of the divine colours and beauties. And with its kisses, it infuses the most beautiful truths and the ineffable secrets of its Creator. Living in the light of my Divine Will and not being aware of the divine things, of our secrets, not feeling the fecundating virtue of this light, would be as if God wanted to live separate life from his creature. But the one purpose for which we want our will to be also that of the creature was precisely that we want to live life together and permanent with her. So it would be absurd living in my will and not feeling the fecundity of its goods that this light possesses, which is that of making the creature live of God himself. Then he added, my daughter, here is why in creation there were so many preparations as preparatory to one of the greatest solemn feasts that our divinity wanted to solemnize with the creature from the very beginning of his existence. What did we not prepare so that this feast might be one of the most solemn? Heaven studded with stars, sun radiant with light, refreshing winds, seas, enchanting flowerings, and fruits with a variety of so many flavours and sweetnesses. After having prepared everything, we created man, that he might celebrate, and we together with him. It was right that the owner of the feast, who had prepared it with so much love, would be present and enjoy together. More so, since the substance of a feast is formed by the company of the guests that are wanted at the feast. And so that this feast between us and man might never be interrupted, we gave him our very will that ruled our divine being, so that one might be the regime and the rule between God and the creature. So as man withdrew from our will, he lost our regime and our rule, and we stopped celebrating on both sides. So as you do your acts in it, and you remind us of everything that we did in creation to set up our feast for the creature, we feel that our fiat is your regime and your rule. This binds us and clasps us again and forms for us the new feast and makes us repeat that of creation. And I, my beloved Jesus, however more I want to live in your will and die rather than not do your most holy will, yet I feel myself bad, dirty. How can I repeat for you this feast? And Jesus continued, our love for one who is determined to live in it and to it always is so great that it makes itself brush of light, and painting with its touch of light and heat, it purifies the creature of any stain, that she may not be ashamed of our adorable presence, and it places her with all trust and love to celebrate together with us. Therefore, let yourself be touched by my divine will, even at the cost of suffering any pain, and it will take care of everything. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.